And now, the general weather around Alaska.
Welcome, everyone, to Alaska Weather. I'm meteorologist Peter Chan, coming to you from the National Weather Service in Alaska region on this Wednesday, August 6, 2025. And in the weather-related headlines across the state of Alaska, some moderate to heavier rain is going to be moving up along north end of the Alaska Peninsula into Kodiak Island and then spread further northeastward along the eastern Kenai, western Prince William Sound during the day Wednesday. Some locations, especially there, Chiknik on up toward Kodiak Island, where you have with east-southeast winds going up the coastal terrain, could see rainfall amounts anywhere from 1.5 inches to locally as high as 3 to 4 inches. Now, further north and east, it's still dry and warm. The Copper River Basin, areas of the Copper River Basin still under a red flag warning for this until mid-evening this Wednesday evening. And then tomorrow, Delta Junction, Fort Greely will be under a red flag warning Thursday mid-morning through the afternoon hours due to warm temperatures, dry conditions, along with breezy conditions as well. And then some heavier rain is possible, moderate to locally heavier rain possible along areas of the Panhandle, northeastern Gulf Coast. We continue to carefully monitor the Mendenhall, Suicide Basin, Glacier Lake outflow flood potential because the basin continues to fill, and there could be some additional rainfall this weekend. At some point in the next week, this could release, so the Juneau Forecast Office is monitoring that situation very closely. And overall, just looking at the state, the weather maps here coming up through the weekend and next week, an early and occasionally wet fall pattern will be emerging across a good portion of the state as we head toward next week in mid-August. So looking at Akiak, south end of Kodiak Island, rain, fog, and winds gusting as high as 35, near 40 miles an hour this afternoon. A raw day, 57, at least for the summertime. Delta Junction, though, partly cloudy, 74. And Delta Junction, you'll be under that red flag warning Thursday mid-morning through the afternoon hours due to temperatures in the 70s and then breezy and dry conditions with relative humidities as low as 25 to 30%, which makes for dangerous fire weather conditions. So here's an interesting photo from shared from the Fairbanks Weather Forecast Office. Funnel cloud sighted up at Bettles on Monday, and this was passed along by Krista Hamilton. And what's neat about this is that, yes, these types of things happen in Alaska. The good news is that we just don't get the supercell type thunderstorms of the Midwest where you have much more in the way of dynamics, wind shear, instability coming together to produce those especially destructive tornadoes. But every year we get a few reports, and it's neat that you see this actually captured. A person there in Bettles indicated that there was a thunderstorm in vicinity, and when they looked south, this is what they saw. So a good catch there. And it doesn't look like if the funnel were to reach the ground and actually cause any damage to trees or things like that, then it would be technically considered a tornado. But fortunately, things like this in Alaska are short-lived and generally on the weaker side compared to the storms in the lower 48. So looking at the hazardous weather map, we have the red flag warning still till 9 p.m. for areas of the Copper River Basin, again due to temperatures in the 70s, breezy and dry conditions. And for tomorrow, a wind advisory is in effect for Donnelly and the upper Robertson River. There's brisk east-southeast winds there, and then red flag warning factoring in those breezy conditions with low humidities and warm temperatures will make for favorable the spread of fire very quickly. So that's fire weather conditions will be enhanced as a result of that. So looking at the fire weather outlook and update for Thursday, hot, dry, windy conditions. Delta Junction has triggered that red flag warning for Thursday. Most of the interior will be warm and dry for Thursday, enhancing fire growth, existing fires, and allowing new lightning ignitions to become more active. But we are going to see some cooler and damper conditions push in the southwest and south central for Thursday, with increasing showers into the Copper River Basin and the Panhandle, especially as we end the Thursday night and Friday. The weekend will bring a bit of a cool down in wetter weather to the western 2/3 of Alaska. There's going to be a push of cooler air coming on down from the Chukchi Sea, Bering Strait, and as low pressure works its way eastward there, it'll spread that further inland. The eastern interior will stay warm and dry at least into early next week. And here on the fire danger map for Thursday, August 7th, the Spruce Adjective, most enhanced area here, very high fire danger in that area around Delta Junction, Fort Greely, on up toward Northway, so the upper portion of the Tanana Valley. Satellite imagery, again, shows a couple features been talking about all week long. We have this ridge of high pressure North Pacific up into the Gulf. This has brought some outstanding weather to south central Anchorage area. Has had 4 days in a row with sunshine and temperatures near or above 70. But to the west, finally, this low pressure that was out in the Bering is coming eastward. It'll slide across the lower Alaska Peninsula as we head into tonight and tomorrow. The occluded front ahead of it has a fair amount of moisture with it. That front is lifting slowly northeastward. That's why the rain's heavier here. Chiknik on up toward Shelikof Strait, Akiak. And as I said, because of the east-southeast flow going up along the lifting along the coastal terrain, there could be enhancement to the rainfall in those areas. Locally, as much as 3-4 inches could fall. And some of that moderate to locally heavy rain will spread up along the eastern Kenai as we go through Thursday, as well as showers in general coming further north into areas of south central. There is a little bit of a loa still out here east of Haida Gwaii and along the British Columbia coast, the back edge of that, catching parts of the southern panhandle with some showers today. But this is the more notable feature. And then up to the north, we have a stationary front like this across the far north. And that front will eventually begin to make some progress east and southward as we get a shot of cool air come down along the backside of the state. Now the reason that's going to happen is there's another low going to come up. It has an atmospheric river component, and as that takes aim toward the Gulf, that's going to fling that moisture into the panhandle this weekend, Saturday into Sunday. So there could be some moderate to locally heavy rainfall along areas of the panhandle this weekend. And we continue, especially the Juneau Forecast Office is monitoring the Mendenhall, Suicide Basin, Glacial Lake, the potential there for an outflow flood event. And the basin continues to fill. It's looking like within the next week that could possibly release. So we're drawing closer and closer to that time frame. So those of you who have been experiencing those floods, those record floods the past couple of years from that outflow event, want to pay special attention, as well as do anything to mitigate potential damage to your property should the release be another big one. We're not certain it'll all come in one big felled swoop, but it's potentially there given the past 2 seasons. And looking at the weather map late tonight into Thursday morning, there's that low coming across eastern Aleutians into the lower Alaska Peninsula. The front slowly lifting northward across Kodiak Island. We have the stationary front in the north, just south of the Brooks Range. And Thursday afternoon, front fairly stationary in the same locations to the north. And then we have the low crossing the lower Alaska Peninsula and the front extending further eastward into the Gulf. And that'll have, along this front, there's some gale force winds. So as that works its way northward, you're going to have some stronger winds there in the Kennedy entrance, Kamishak Bay, also the favorable areas here like outside of Hinchinbrook entrance and Cape Suckling, Kayak Island could see some stronger gale force winds. And then Friday, that first front just kind of washes out, and here comes that secondary low out of the North Pacific. This is the one that has the atmospheric river component, a lot of moisture, and it'll take aim toward the Panhandle, northeastern Gulf Coast here Saturday into Sunday. Meanwhile, a low is come out of eastern Russia, that energy, and will be kind of reshaping here on the west side of the state. And by Saturday, yes, we have that low, and the cooler air is taking the plunge southeastward through the Bering Strait down along the YK Delta. So initially, the air's cold, is going to be cooler, stay rain. It's not going to turn to snow yet, but cooler temperatures and rain or rain showers spreading southeastward. Meanwhile, here comes that secondary low up out of the North Pacific with a warm front, and that'll focus a lot of moisture, rainfall here in through areas of southeast Alaska. Temperatures Thursday morning, mild. Look at this, lower middle Yukon River Valley, mid-upper 50s for lows. Areas that do get a little clearing, Copper River Basin could dip into the 40s. Generally 50s for the Panhandle, far north 30s along the Arctic coast, inner north slope. And then temperatures, warmest readings Thursday afternoon are going to be in the middle Yukon, eastward through the Yukon Flats, 70s, maybe an isolated 80-degree reading on over toward Eagle. And temperatures along the Arctic coast, low mid 40s. Temperatures 60s, maybe a couple of 70s there in the Panhandle, but with the cloud cover and some showers moving up into south central, readings will not be as warm as they've been for the past 4 days. And then on Friday morning, we still have lows in the 50s, lower, middle, even upper Yukon Valley, mid 30s along the Arctic coast, 45 there at Wales along the Bering Strait, 49 St. Paul, 51 for Dutch Harbor, and then into south central, lows will stay above 50 because of the cloud cover and the rain. And then back here through the Panhandle, low temperatures generally in the mid 50s, but notice we're starting that cooling trend heading into the weekend. Instead of 70s, now we're looking more at 60s with maybe an isolated 70 along the Alcan border at Eagle and Northway. So the trend, the pattern is going to begin to start to shift out starting this weekend, and then certainly as we go through next week into mid-month, it's not going to be as sunny or warm as it was for some time now. And looking at the extended temperature outlook by the Climate Prediction Center, August 12th through the 16th, centered on mid-month. Cooler than normal temperatures are likely across most of the state, especially areas of the central interior, north and northwest, especially from around Wainwright down to Kotzebue and just north of Nome there in the northern Seward Peninsula, Shishmaref. And cooler than the normal temperatures also expected into the southeast Panhandle, in part because of clouds and precipitation and rainfall. Just kind of a general overall trend we could see, whether it be showery weather or a low pressure that has more in the air, sense of areas of rain. It looks like there's a pretty good chance at least a good portion of the mainland and southeast will see precipitation average a bit above normal for that 4-day stretch. So that's what we have coming up here. And again, tomorrow I'll talk a little bit more about what we got coming up. We do have the full moon late Friday evening. And also, if you're lucky enough to have clear or partly cloudy skies, I'll talk about the conjunction of the planets Jupiter and Venus that's going to occur early next week.